It is true to say that no one would want to live in a Jewish community that did not accept people with disabilities. Thanks to all of you and so many others, ETTA has been and continues to be on the front lines of change, of inclusion, of making a society that is proper for Jewish values. But if we have done so in Los Angeles, we have only to look at our next speaker to better understand what it truly means to change society. David Marcu, president of Israel Elwyn, the largest agency in Israel for the disabled of all ages. They serve 5,400 people with disabilities every day. My friends, when the war broke out on October 7th, all Jewish communities throughout the world united with Israel. But we asked ourselves at ETTA, we have a special responsibility. Our responsibility is to look after those who have challenges, who are disabled. What does it mean to stand with Israel's disabled at a time of war? How to protect our clients, how to engage them, how to fill the roles of their parents, their staff members, their siblings who have left to go to the front lines. And how to address the trauma of death and how to comfort them. Because we serve our clients not just in happiness and joy, but at all stages of life. David Marcu is one of the preeminent leaders in our field, and he has stood on these front lines with his staff addressing these very issues. When we learned that David would be in LA for personal reasons, on personal time, for just a few days, and that those few days intersected with our gala, we recognize that we have a rare opportunity for you to hear a first-hand account of the impact of the war on the disabled people of Israel and how we can stand together with them. May I please ask for your silence? Thank you. I'm about to introduce David. He has been there to teach, to reach, to comfort, to improvise, to juggle, to manage with his staff 5,400 disabled Israelis, the most vulnerable clients, while at the same time each member of his staff is dealing with his or her own stress of family. David, thank you for being here. Thank you for offering to share a few words with us. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you David Marcu, President of Israel Elwyn. We have a gift. We know that you came with a lightweight luggage, so we decided we are happy to ship it to you, but these are challah boards and artwork done by our clients, and we'd like to share them with you and your family.
Thank you.
There you go. And we'll take it back and send it to you if you like.
Thank you, Dr. Held. Recently, certainly after October 7th, which is the new way that we measure time, I saw a friend whom I hadn't seen in a while. I asked her, "Ma shlomech? How are you?" Her answer summed up how I've been feeling since that fateful day. Shlomi kishlom ami. As are my people, so am I. This is a national event that has made everything personal. Everyone feels the pain of the families of hostages, those who lost loved ones, those who lost their homes. We are all in pain. We are all suffering from trauma at one level or another. A brief version of my story. It was Shabbat morning, Simchat Torah, For those of you outside of Israel, the first day is called Shmini Atzeret. Many of us immigrants, even those like me who have lived in Israel for 39 years, feel lucky that the holiday for us is one day overflowing with joy, dance, song, and celebrating the completion of the cycle of reading the Torah for the past year. It is a day where joy and community connect. That morning, my wife and I chose to go to an early minyan, or service, as they tend to be quicker than the main service. So we went to a local synagogue in Jerusalem at 6:30 a.m. By about 7:15 a.m., because the later service was starting and needed the sanctuary, we went outside to complete the reading of the Torah. A joyous event indeed. When that was finished, it was time to say the annual prayer for rain as the winter season had arrived. During that prayer, a loud air raid siren sounded. Since false alarms have happened over the years, we thought little of it, but entered the building's bomb shelter and waited. After about 10 minutes, we were given the all clear to continue our service outside. We suddenly heard a few teenagers yelling to their father that a man had shown up with a very large weapon. He was apparently sent by the police to guard exposed and soft targets like synagogues. We thought it a bit unusual, but finished our service. We gathered for the kiddush, or refreshments, on a large patio of our nearby community center. 3 or 4 more air raid sirens went off, and we saw the smoke passing overhead, apparently from the Iron Dome system shooting down missiles that we now know came in from Gaza. By this point, we knew this was real. People talk about the fog of war, but this was more like the fog before the war, and we really had no idea what was happening. Those boys and men who were at an age where they might be called up for emergency return to their military base or for reserve duty rushed to get their cell phones. Little by little, we began to learn over the course of the entire day what happened. We never would have believed this. Never. Not in Israel. Not here. So on October 7th, a new day that will live in infamy, little by little, horrifying and unprecedented information spilled out. The full story took even weeks to be uncovered, bit by bit, house by house, body part by body part. And we have learned of horrors and evil that we thought was a relic of the last century. I know I don't need to tell you what happened that day, much of which, as I indicated, were learned in the days and even weeks later. But in short, terrorists infiltrated approximately 22 border communities in Israel and went from house to house, murdering men, women, and children, many in their beds. They decapitated children, burned people alive, raped women and men, and took civilian hostages back to Gaza. This includes babies, young people, women, the elderly, and even Holocaust survivors. This is not 1939. This is 2023. And more than 1,400 Israelis lost their lives, and more than 200 were taken captive to a fate which cannot be imagined. Thousands of missiles were fired into Israel. Our organization, Israel Elwyn, which provides excellent support services of nearly every type for, as Dr. Held said, 5,400 children and adults with disabilities throughout Israel, and with a professional staff of more than 1,400 persons, was not spared the horror. One of our service recipients, Keshet Zohar, was murdered along with her parents and sister at Kibbutz Nachal Oz. Ruth Peretz, a young woman with cerebral palsy who was in her wheelchair, and her father were murdered at the music festival. Another service recipient, Liron Bolds, who recently completed a course to become a preschool aide, lost her brother Doron, who was attending the music festival. Evyatar, the son of a valued staff member, Yasmin Abu Kassis, who was a military ambulance driver, was killed in the south. Israel Elwyn has an adult day center and senior center in Ashkelon that was directly hit by a missile and severely damaged. Thank God we had been ordered to close all of our day programs, and so many lives were spared. But Israel is a small country, too small. And right or left of the entire Israeli political spectrum, we have all united and are saying, this must be ended. The Jewish people cannot be fair game for murderers. Never again. But lest you think I came here just to tell you about the bad and the ugly, allow me to say that this horrific situation has brought Israelis together in ways we have never seen in decades. The proactive and immediate response of Israelis to help each other, to help our soldiers, to help their husbands, wives, or children who rushed off to military reserve duty, and to help the families of those who have paid and are paying the ultimate price has been nothing short of breathtaking. And this is no less true of our organization, Israel Elwyn. I am super proud of how our staff, our service recipients, families, everyone has stepped up and are meeting this unwanted challenge. After the first weeks of the war, we managed to begin to open most of our day programs, early intervention, employment, adult and senior day services based on the distance from hostilities. Many of our service recipients and staff were forced to evacuate their homes, and we are doing our best to manage. Of course, our 24/7 supported living services remained open at all times, with all the difficulties involved in staffing and in training residents to get to a shelter or safe space during incoming missile attacks. In fact, all our day programs fairly quickly, and with the IDF Home Front Command approval, reopened. Our badly damaged facility in Ashkelon was renovated in short order, and even it is completely open for service. We have been trying to reach out and help people when it is our responsibility and even when it isn't. The Ministry of Welfare and Social Services is aware of this, and we are receiving some unusual but meaningful requests for assistance. For example, a woman who uses a wheelchair and has physical disabilities was evacuated from her home in the area of hostilities to a hotel in Jerusalem without her family, and it became known that she was on her own there and had not been able to shower for an entire week. One of our staff members went to visit her, spoke to her, bathed her, and made certain that she had clean clothes into which to change. In addition, we prepared to take in more evacuees with disabilities into our supported living program on a temporary basis to give them a safe place to live, relatively safe, and away from the area where incoming missiles and mortars are a regular, sometimes hourly event. We know that this might become a larger need should things escalate on the Northern Front. Allow me to tell you a heartwarming story about Ilya, who has autism and has been inducted into the Israeli Army as part of our Inclusion in Uniform program. Ilya works in a computer-based operation. At the start of the war, we were told by Ilya's commander that Ilya decided that he would not leave the base and is working day and night along with his comrades, doing everything that needs to be done, just like all the other soldiers. This notwithstanding the fact that Ilya is dedicated, of high quality, notwithstanding the fact that he was entitled to go home every night, he stayed. We're told that Ilya is dedicated, of high quality, and professional. For the toddlers from some of our early intervention centers, when they were closed, we continued to provide support through digital means and via the professional online videos that we happened to prepare during COVID. Since the earliest days of this war, our staff have been reaching out to those who could not leave their homes or have been evacuated. It is heartwarming to see their bravery in going about these visits and the joy they bring to service recipients, staff, and their families alike. I mentioned that we had provided emergency training to residents of our supported living services. This training, of course, was provided in accessible, simplified language with visual aids on what to do if an incoming missile alarm is sounded. Several days later, after the residents of one of our community apartments underwent the training, a few residents were on a bus in Jerusalem when the sirens went off, giving them about 90 seconds to get to a sheltered space. The residents, Hillel, Rachel, and Gina, afterward called to let us know that they knew exactly what to do. They got off the bus, entered the closest building, and went down a flight of stairs to wait in the stairwell until the emergency was over. We were very pleased to know that they understood exactly what to do. That is self-empowerment. Finally, many of our colleague organizations from overseas have reached out and are making every effort to connect, to help, to be there for us. And this now includes our dear colleagues here at ETTA, and we thank you. My message to you is that our people, though badly surprised and beaten, are not down. We will not give up. It may take time, but we shall prevail. When President Biden spoke on several occasions in the week after October 7th, he said that when he was a young senator visiting Israel for the first time, it was weeks after the Yom Kippur War had started. When he met Prime Minister Golda Meir, she said to him, "You look upset." He said, "I am." She said, "Let me tell you about Israel's secret weapon. We have nowhere else to go." So we remain Thank you. So we remain with an unusual level of anger, of fear, of uncertainty, but also the will to win, to help, to be a part of this, to live. Side by side, as people of all abilities, we shall overcome. Thank you very much.